I have been in the repair game for quite some time, and there are certain rules that apply to it that never seem to change. Number one, very seldom are you ever going to get the full story from a customer, especially if they have been under the hood dinking around themselves, because no one wants to voluntarily make themselves look bad, and it's a hard and fast rule because I've seen it happen time and time again. I've had people come around asking for repairs who were sure they knew what was wrong with their car, when the reality of it was they didn't have a freaking clue. But in order to try and make themselves look good or intelligent, as the case may be, they went with popular opinion because they had discussed it with several people before I got my eyeballs on it, and were convinced whatever someone else had told them was the actual problem. In my world, I don't have that luxury. It either runs right or it doesn't. And going by what the other guy says can totally screw up my diagnosis. So whenever someone else has opinion as to what might be going on with their vehicle, I always take it with a grain of salt. It's worth taking into consideration, but very seldom does it actually end up being the problem. In order to make a proper diagnosis on anything, you have to use your own practical experience, and if there is no diagnostic plug available, like on a lot of this older stuff, your common sense as well. Take this car for example. The guy who sold it to me had been told repeatedly that it was junk and it wasn't worth the money that he was trying to get out of it. When the reality is it was in someone else's best interest to tell him that so that they could get a better deal on it. Could some of the people who actually said that this thing was junk and wasn't worth selling been serious? They may have been, because some people just don't know, especially on something like this, which is extremely rare, and unless you've had some experience dinking around with them, you aren't gonna know, because you're just making stuff up along the way to make yourself look good. Well, it should be fairly obvious that this car isn't junk, because I've taken y'all for rides in several videos, and the deal that I got on it was a steal, quite frankly. You can buy a car like this, one of these, in this condition for $1,000. You got a hell of a deal, whether it runs right or not. And it took a while, it took some time and effort, but I understand the one thing a lot of people aren't willing to take into account politically these days is if you're willing to put in the time and effort and educate yourself along the way, that it ain't junk until we say it's junk. And even though it might be blowing a little smoke out of the tailpipe and showing its age just a little bit, it ain't junk. And even if it was, it wouldn't be junk until I said it was junk.